I should have these down here, shouldn't I? Jiki, otherwise known as, I can't talk. Is it 7 seasons? 6 seasons? We're taking a sneeze break, it seems. I'll fact check myself later. Okay, we're back. Hi, I'm Kizzy Sensei, and today I want to talk to you about figures. Welcome back to my channel. Happy Sunday! As I'm recording this, it is Sunday, January 26th. By the time you see this, it might be late January 26th or early January 27th. But either way, I hope you're having a fantastic day. Now, as a fellow nerd, as you can see from my background, I have a lot of nerdy things. One of my favorite things that I own is figures. So today we're going to do a figure tour of some of my favorite figures that I have in my collection and in my stream setup. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the animes that they're from, why I love them, and just like extra nerdy stuff that goes with it. So enjoy. I think the anime that I have the most figures from is My Hero Academia. So I want to go through those first and talk to you a little bit about why I love My Hero so much. I really love My Hero Academia for a multitude of reasons, but one of the biggest reasons I love them is because of the characters and their development. 7 seasons in, now the development is massive, and they're like completely different characters from start to finish. So we're going to start with one of my favorites. This is my pride and joy, my sunshine. This is Tamaki Amajiki, otherwise known as Sun Eater, and his quirk is that he can eat anything that is animal derived and use it to place a part on himself to use in combat or in things like espionage or climbing or tracking, just whatever. One of his favorite things to do is eat things like takoyaki, which has octopus or like squid in it, and he likes to extend squid tentacles from the tips of his fingers and use them for all sorts of things. This figure was actually bought at New York Comic Con 2 years ago, and I bought it because I never find Tamaki merchandise, and Tamaki is my favorite character in My Hero Academia. Here's a close-up of Tamaki. He's got all these really cool details on him. He's got his visor, which is see-through. He's got a battle pose going on. All of these pockets are where he stores the things that he eats. And as you can see, he's got quite a few pockets, and they're pretty deep so that he can keep all sorts of stuff inside of them. But otherwise, his costume is pretty bland. Without these cool attachments, he's really just wearing what looks like a black bodysuit, a white cape, and this white skirt thing. He also doesn't wear shoes because a lot of the time he uses his power so that he can transform his feet into things like chicken feet and talons to run faster, to climb buildings, to scale, to attack, stuff like that. You know, keeping the dogs free is just kind of like his way of making it easier for him to use his power. I love this figure so much because it's so dynamic. He looks really cool. There's a lot of really cool details going on. You can tell the paint job was just immaculate. I do not remember how much this one cost, but I am going to guess that it was probably upwards of $80 to $90. Moving on. This is Hawks. He is also in another dynamic pose and is a very, very cool character, very morally gray, and we love that for him. He also comes with a detachable feather sword. To be perfectly honest with you, I don't know where it's supposed to go, so sometimes we stick it here and sometimes we stick it there, and that is what she said. His quirk is actually his wings. These wings are not detachable. They are attached to his body, to his skin. Hawks is a really unique character in the fact that his quirk is wings. Hawks' ability is really cool because not only can he use his wings for things like flight and combat, he can also individually control each and every feather. He can remove the feathers at will, use them with levitation, and send them forward like darts and daggers. Hawks is a really cool morally gray character. I really think you're gonna love him. He is super cool. This figure I also bought at New York Comic Con because I saw him pretty much at the same time I saw Tamaki, and I had to have them both. He was upwards of $85, and I would spend every penny again. This is Mirio Togata, also known as Lemillion. And as you can see, he is doing a whole lot of kicking ass. Mirio is really cool because his quirk is called Permeate. One of my favorite things about Mirio actually has nothing to do with his quirk. It has everything to do with his personality and who he is. He's very animated, he's very loud and funny, but he's also incredibly loyal, and he's kind of like the big voice of reason to help lift everybody else up. The reason that he calls himself Lemillion is because his goal as a hero is to save 1 million lives, and so he kind of has it branded across his chest to remind himself that this is why he became a hero. His quirk is really cool. It's called Permeate. His quirk allows him essentially to slip through things like walls, buildings, people, objects. Anything can pass through him, and anything can pass through any part of his body. And so Mirio's quirk really comes in handy. He was also I believe he was about $75. We love him. Moving into the route of like multiples of a character, I will also show you this little Tamaki figure here. This is a teeny tiny little Tamaki figure. He was like $10. He is just a tiny miniature version. As you can tell, he's not really in a dynamic pose. He's just kind of chilling. As you can see, this is kind of like the difference that you get between figures. This is more of like an official, really well-made, hand-tailored figure. This is more of like, it is still pretty well made, but it's on a much smaller scale, and you can tell the detail is not as intense as a actual figure would be. Tamaki is Tamaki no matter which form he comes in. So I don't know if we're counting Funko Pops as figurine. This is the Funko for Tamaki, and if you're familiar with the Funko style of these types of figures, you can tell they're just like very short, chibi, fat faces. I like this figure because unlike my other two figures, this is showing off Tamaki's quirk. If you remember, I did say that he likes to eat things like takoyaki because of the squid and octopus, because he likes to do things like this, turn the tips of his fingers into tentacles. He also likes to do things like eat clams and oysters so that he can create clams and oysters at the edges of his fingers. Sometimes he melds them with his hands, or sometimes he creates them and then he just kind of lets them go and they become detachable, and he can do things like toss them at people, or he can use this as defense like a shield. And then at the bottom you can tell he's got his little chicken feet. These are kind of the three quirks that Tamaki very commonly uses, which is why he's often portrayed with them. Funko Pops I think usually go for like $20, but we love him all the same, and I'm not going to discriminate against any type of Tamaki figurine, so we keep him too. My other Funko that I have from My Hero is Mirio. He kind of just looks a lot like the Mirio figure that I have. He is in a semi-dynamic pose. He's not really like fighting. He's doing more so of leaning himself up against some rocks. But you can kind of see here that cartoony feature that I said that he has. We look at his figure, not that is his crotch. You can kind of see his facial features are this like cartoony style. That's kind of Mirio's thing. That's why, you know, he kind of looks and stands out much differently than any of the other characters in My Hero because of the style that he is drawn in. We love Mirio. He's just wonderful as a human. Moving on, I have this Bakugo figure that is so freaking cool. He's actually very big. He's like the size of my freaking head, like the whole length of it. He's a very tall figure. This is the outfit from one of the My Hero Academia movies called World Heroes Association. As we see from the close-up, it is a very well detailed, very pretty figure. His quirk is that he can create explosion from the sweat in his palms that contains nitroglycerin. Everything on him is geared towards protecting himself from his explosions and from the damage it could potentially cause, but some things like the hood are made from the explosive effect that often happens in anime and manga, and it's just a really cool feature. It shows up a lot in his character designs as they go forward, but as you can see, he has a lot of artillery in this particular costume. He's got these gauntlets, which is kind of like a play off of the gauntlets he usually wears. This is a really cool design choice here. It's a much sleeker barrel. It's completely black, and these things on the side are the pins that are usually often pulled when you have a grenade. You would pull this off and then you would toss the grenade out, but it's a very cool design choice. He also has his classic, I think they're called condensers or absorbers, on his shoulders and across his like collarbone area, and that kind of feeds into this pack in the back. He also has these cool canisters on the sides. He's got a really strong artillery belt here to just kind of keep everything in place. He has pouches on the sides which is a really cool design choice to just kind of hold on to gear. I love this figure so much. This is one of the coolest figures I own, but this is Bakugo, and this is one of my favorite figurines from the My Hero collection that I have. We're gonna move to another series that is really near and dear to my heart, and that is Demon Slayer. Demon Slayer is another anime that is really near and dear to my heart. It falls really heavily into the sibling trope, which I personally love as an older sibling, watching Tanjiro go through the story and start to really come to terms with how much his devotion and loyalty to his sister is tested as a bond through all of the awful stuff that he goes through in the entire show so far. And so with that, I'm going to show you some of my favorite Demon Slayer figures that I have. My first one is this really awesome dynamic figure of Tanjiro. He's in his classic dynamic fighting pose. He's got the giant box that he often wears to house his sister. We see his black Nichiren sword. I like how he's got his hand in front of him, which is like a very classic pose when sword fighting. He also has his demon's mark here. And then we have the rest of his Demon Slayer outfit that he gets when he becomes an official Demon Slayer. I really love how Tanjiro's prowess in battle comes through in this figure, and it is also quite large as well. This figure was actually $45. I really love this figure. This is my Tanjiro, and we love him. My other dynamic figure from Demon Slayer is of Inosuke. Inosuke is really cool because he taught himself how to do what's called animal breathing, and it is his fighting style that involves using these two really chipped and broken up swords that he does on purpose to create this jagged, almost scissor-like quality. I really love this figure. I bought this figure the same day that I bought the Tanjiro figure, and this was also $45. I love the detailing. I love the coloring. It's simple, but they do put a lot of really nice attention in the blades, and that's also my favorite part. So this is Inosuke. And so now I only have one other figure to show you, and I saved, in my opinion, the best for last. My all-time favorite anime is Rurouni Kenshin. And so the figure that I have is actually from the remake of Rurouni Kenshin. I have this absolutely gorgeous figure of Kenshin Himura. This is a beautiful figure. His sword is the perfect length, and the coloring is just so beautiful, down to the gradient of his hair. Even this teeny tiny little detail here at the top of his head. I love this figure so much. Rurouni Kenshin is an anime that is super near and dear to me. It has been an integral part of my nerd life for over a decade and a half at this point. This was a gift though, so I actually don't know how much this was, but one of my most cherished figurines for sure, just because of how much I love this anime and how much I love this character. And that is a figurine tour of all of my favorite figures. If you like what you saw, I'd really appreciate it if you could like, comment, share, and subscribe to my little growing channel here on YouTube. Thank you guys so much for watching. I had a blast. I love talking about all of my nerdy stuff, so I hope to see you in the next video. Mwah! Take my love and my light with you. Kiss your pets and your loved ones for me, and don't forget to stay sexy. That part's really important. I'll see you guys next time.